All right, hockey fans and hockey fanatics out there, welcome to the Hockey Lounge, episode 33 for Monday, September 27th, 9:15 p.m. We are back live. It's been a couple weeks, but we are back. Tryout season is on, and we actually finished last week. Just came back from practice. Boys had a great first practice. Way to go, boys. Really, really good hard skate. Tonight, in the lounge, we have my wingman is back, Apple, looking good, and we have Peter's back, or you want to be called Pedro tonight?
Pedro tonight.
Pedro is back in the lounge tonight, and so, gents, the thumbnail was put out there. The thumbnail was put out there today. The questions are burning. The 5 burning questions of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, let me give everyone a live update. The Leafs are in Montreal tonight. It is 4-2 Montreal with 9:05 left in the third period. Toronto did win the opening preseason game on Saturday, 4-1 to the Montreal Canadiens. Gents, Peter, Pedro, Apple, how are you tonight?
Fantastic.
Beautiful.
Good stuff. So everybody's been talking about this. Leafs. We're talking about Overdrive. We're talking about Sportsnet, all the radio stations. It's that time of year. People are talking about who's coming first in each division, standings. How are the Maple Leafs going to do? We're going to talk about the 5 burning questions. We are going to have a prediction show or shows on the Western Conference and Eastern Conference coming up, which should be interesting. A lot of different things happening out there in the NHL with different players getting signed to PTO contracts. A lot of movement. But first, the 5 burning questions of the Toronto Maple Leafs. We already have a comment. Apple is saying, holy shit, kids, they found Apple. All right, so Apple is back. All right, so, gents, we're going to get to this very, very fast here. The Toronto Maple Leafs this year, okay? The 5 burning questions that we're going to be talking about tonight. And I'm going to start off with the first one here. This is the first question of the night. Goaltending, like a marriage, for better or worse? Pedro.
Well, I don't like what I've seen already in the first preseason game with Mrazek and Campbell. So maybe Hudson's going to get in there. I don't know. Maybe one of the young kids. But yeah, I see a 50-50 split. I think it's going to be a battle. I don't know that either one's going to kind of grab the bull by the horns and take that number one. I think it's going to be one of those tandems, and some teams have been successful with it, but I see a tandem that's kind of go back and forth, where a goalie's hot maybe a couple games, and then the other one takes over a couple games, and I think it's going to be pretty much a 50-50 split by the time we're done the season.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with him. I think it's going to be 50-50 split too. To me, what's going to be interesting is how Schkeef handles them, because Mrazek's a hell of a goalie when he gets on his hot streak, but he's horrible when he's cold. So it's going to be interesting when Keefe sees when he's riding hot and go with him. Like, what kind of a – I don't know. The pressure's going to be on this year. I think the pressure's really on Keefe and Doofus this year. I think if the Leafs start slow out of the gate, I think they're in trouble, both of those guys, and I think the goaltending is going to go a long way in deciding that.
And so let me put some stats out to you guys, because again, I did some homework over the last couple of days here on this, and what's mind blowing for me is you look at Freddie Anderson that they let go. He played 24 games last year, a 2.96 goals against average, an 895 save percentage, which was low. He has played over 393 games in the NHL. Okay. We're talking about a team here that has firepower up front, and we'll get to that in a second here. But then they decided to bring in Peter Mrazek. Okay. A goalie that played 12 games last year with a goals against average of 2.06, a save percentage of 923, and he has 275 games in the NHL. You're looking at his partner, Jack Campbell, that played 22 games last year, 2.15 goals against, 921 per save percentage, 86 games in the NHL. To me, it's mind-blowing and mind-boggling how the Leafs went with Peter Mrazek as their number one after the 3-1 blow-up against the Montreal Canadiens. They've decided to go with more of a, split combo like you guys are saying, but the stats tell me everything. You have a goalie that played 275, 86. You have Freddie Anderson, 393 games. I'm not sure what the Leafs are thinking here.
I'm okay with it. I don't think Freddie was the guy, to be quite honest with you. I think his teammates liked him, but let's face it, he was abysmal in the playoffs. He never took us to the next level, and when that happens, you got to make a change. I like Mrazek. He's kind of a bit of a wild card. He can look great, like Apple was saying. He can look great, and then he could look just like, is this guy even good enough to be in the NHL? So I think it's a risk. It's going to be a risk. I do think they're relying on Jack Campbell to have another breakout season and hopefully take a next step. So I think I couldn't agree more. I think at least we'll go as far as their goaltending, and I think the start of the season is going to be a big. We're going to see that real quick, I think.
To Nick's point, I think they kind of got Mrazek, and I think Anderson are kind of the same goalie. I think they could have done better. I think goalies, there are other goalies out there. The Leafs jumped on Mrazek way too quick, like he was a god or something, when they've got a good team in front of them that can score. There should have been some other goalies that would have been interested to come in Toronto just for the winning aspect if they would have went after him. I think they would have had other options.
My question for you guys is this, is that we're getting into 5-6 years here of that core era. Okay. And what happened last year in the playoffs, losing to Montreal, being up 3-1, was Peter Mrazek the best goalie for the Toronto Maple Leafs? That's the question I have here. I think everybody's on the hot seat. We'll get to that later on, Peter, or Pedro, whatever you want to be called tonight. But my question is, like, even up here, like, instead of upgrading, I think Freddie Anderson, you're right, Peter. Like, again, he's never won a playoff round. He has regular season numbers that are decent. But for me, if I was a Leaf fan, and Peter, I know you are a Leaf fan, isn't it disappointing to see that they didn't upgrade this position?
I think they're handcuffed. I think the salary, if you want to get a good goalie, you got to pay the piper, and they didn't have the money to pay the piper. So I think Apple said, I looking at the free agents, I kind of looked at a few options. I don't know who the better option was based on the cap number. There might have been some better options, but it wouldn't work cap wise. And they've handcuffed themselves in that sense. So they're going with the up front. They're going with the 4 with the big bucks, and they're hoping other pieces fall into place. And I think Mrazek is one of those kind of pieces that they hope at $3.5 million, I think he's making, that can do the job. But they're not in a situation to bring a top-notch goalie. So we'll see if it pays off.
So having said that, and again, cap space, handcuffed, whatnot, I think it'd be more of a viable option if you make a hockey trade here. Things have not gone right the last 2 years with Columbus and Montreal. Is it time to make a hockey trade for somebody to solidify the back end? Now, that probably won't happen this year, but in my eyes, I think there are goalies out there with the right deal. You might have to sacrifice someone to get somebody to get between the pikes. My opinion here is the Leafs are going to struggle in the nets. Campbell just gave you a sample size last year of what he can do. Can he do that again? I don't know. Like that's like if you're hoping on him to have another season like that, maybe not. Mrazek, the telling story of that is Nedeljkovic, that is in Detroit now, became their number one goalie. What does that tell you? Like to me, that tells me enough said, right? So, Apple.
I just don't. The thing that keeps getting me is they know they need to upgrade the goaltender, and like you're saying, Nick, I don't think they upgraded. I think they went sideways, and I'm just in shock that like I don't know if Dubas realizes that I think this is his last kick at the can at this, and there was like no urgency. Right. They needed to get better at this position. Mm-hmm. Bro, I if I was a Leaf fan, I would have even taken like a guy. I'm just throwing a name out there for the money. It's like I would have taken a flyer on a guy like Linus Ullmark for me before I did Mrazek, because there's a lot of upside there. I just think there was a few better options, and the urgency wasn't there to make this position better for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I think they would have. You know what? I think they would have probably loved to have like Fleury. I think they were in on Fleury.
Yeah.
And again, we don't know what happens behind the scenes. I agree with you. Allmark would have been another good option. I just think it's the cap, and who knows? I think Dubas. I don't know if he's on the hot seat. I don't know if this is the last kick of the can. I don't believe it is. What I do believe, and not to kind of get sidetracked when we're talking about some, but what I do believe is this could be the kick of the can for the big four. I think that's more of probably something to happen as opposed to Dubas going. But anyways, I mean, the thing I think Dubas will have is he might have the option of maybe a Fleury come trade deadline if they're in that mix, and now they can get him for cheaper. But I think he's handcuffed. I really do. I couldn't agree. We needed to upgrade that position, and I think this is probably he felt was his best option at the time for that money.
Remember, he handcuffed himself. It's not like he got given a team and got screwed. He did it to himself.
100%.
Yeah. All right. So thumbs up, Peter. Goaltending for the Leafs this year. Thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you think?
You know what? I'm going to go thumbs up. I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic. Right. I'm going to go thumbs up.
No, I don't think they upgraded enough to do anything to believe that they're going to get past the first round again.
Thumbs down on goaltending?
Thumbs down.
All right. So we got our thumbs up, thumbs down on the goaltending. All right. Second question of 5 burning questions for the Toronto Maple Leafs. If you want to become a Hockey Lounge member, hit that subscribe button below. If you like the show, slap shot the like button. All right. Second question of the night. Here we go. Are the D strong enough to survive? And let me tell you, the 6D, we got Muzzin, or like our P. Diddy Santi likes to call Muzzin, Morgan, Brody, Hull, Dermott, and Sandin. Are they strong enough to survive? Peter.
Oof. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say yeah. Again, we talked about this. I don't love. They're good enough. I think their game has to be puck moving defensemen. They're not going to beat you in the crease, and I think that's going to be the challenge. That's where Muzzin's going to have to play big minutes, and I think they're going to make a change. I think they're going to see what this D can do, but I do think they're going to add some toughness at some point if they want to go far in the playoffs, if they're in a playoff position. But I think they're good enough to get us to, let's say, the trade deadline or halfway through the season. But I do think they're going to need to add.
So, question for you. You look at Muzzin, Morgan, and Brody. I'm going to throw this to you, App. Then you have Hull, and you have Dermott and Sandin. So Hull had a good season last year. So now you're rolling the dice if this happens this year as well. In Sandin and Dermott, you have very similar players, smaller in stature. Once playoff time comes, and again, we talked about this on other shows, this will be a real season. They're going to be playing the heavy hitters now. It's just not the North Division, right?
Yep.
will this D be able to survive the 82-game season and then go into the playoffs? Because when I look down this list, I only see one guy that can play a gritty type defense, and that's Muzzin. The rest of the guys, like Peter said, are puck-moving D. Okay, but we all know once we get into the playoffs, things get a little bit dirtier, grittier, heavier. Thoughts on the D?
I agree with you 100%. Brody can add a little bit of the grit, not like Muzzin can, but I think with Hull, Dermott, Sandin, I think the rigors of an 82-game season, and it's no secret that they're smaller stature. They're not tough guys. They're going to get pounded. So to see how they last up, like they're great at moving the puck and all that. Liljegren, maybe you throw him in there, but these three got. I think the way we're going back to real hockey, like Nick said, with the regular divisions, I think those bottom three are going to have to play well. Dare I say this, but just to get them into the playoffs, because it's going to be a tough division.
Mm-hmm.
So come playoff time, Nick, to answer your question, I don't think when it comes down to smash hockey, I don't think they can hold up.
Yeah, Peter, my thing is that I didn't give thumbs up, thumbs down for the goalies, Pete, but my biggest issue is toughness and grit on the back end here. We'll get this get to the next question in a second here, but TJ Brody, not the grittiest guy. We know about Morgan Riley, but Dermott and Sandin, I don't know, Peter. Like I know that Dermott was sort of on the trade deadline last year a little bit. They were talking about it. And then Sandin, you're hoping on a defenseman that he's going to come into his own. He's got a lot of upside, but smaller in stature, like Apple said. I just don't know if they can survive 82 games and then get into that heavier hockey.
Yeah, I don't think they can. I think Dubas is going to make a move before that trade deadline. If you're asking me going into the playoffs, are these the top six that are going to get you to the next level? Absolutely not. It won't. Can it get them through the season and kind of, get them W's and get them through the early part of the season? I think it will, but I think one of those guys are going to go. I think I could see a Dermott getting traded, and depending on Sandin, and they're going to have to add size and grit to the back end before the trade deadline. I have no doubt about it, because these guys aren't going to win you the playoffs.
Right. So just an update with live game here. It's 5-2. Habs over the Leafs with 1:13 left in the third period. 5-2 Habs, 1:13 left in the third.
That means Mrazek's let in 3.
Yeah, you know what? The one thing I noticed about Mrazek, I have the game on here, and just he looks smaller in stature too. He doesn't look big.
He is.
Right?
He is a small goalie.
Yeah, just smaller goalie, but again, it's just interesting times in Leafland. I listen to all the media or whatnot, and they're positive or whatnot. I think they have to be, because they're Toronto media. But man, to me, I don't know. We'll see.
It's like even Bogosian. He has some grit to his game, and they let him go. But I mean, to me, the whole reason Montreal beat them in that round was because the Montreal D was so much bigger. They were smashing, they were hitting, they were gritty. You need that in the playoffs.
They're actually showing highlights right now of the Habs D hitting the Leafs forwards. Right now, as we speak, this Russian guy,
Romanov.
Yeah.
Oh, Romanov.
I think he's
Montreal
playing
D.
tonight. But Sherratt, these guys are heavy. They're heavy on the puck, right?
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting for sure. So thumbs up, thumbs down on the Leafs defense this year. Apple.
I'm gonna go with thumbs down.
Double thumbs down, Peter.
I'm going to go thumbs down, because this isn't the D that's going to end the season, but I'm hoping that, thumbs down. I don't think this is the best 6 that we need to have.
All right. Next question here for the Leafs for the upcoming season. Puck drops in a couple weeks here in the NHL season. Looking forward to that. Lots of NHL exhibition games happening around the night tonight. Last night, the Seattle Kraken won their first game, which was interesting. We'll get to that later on in the show. Third question: are the bottom 6 forwards for real? So I'm going to put this out there, okay? I'm I'm gonna put this out
Oh,
there. Nick Ritchie, Kev, Cachet, Engvall. We have Bunting, Simmons, Spezza. I'm gonna throw Hosang in there. I'm gonna throw in Curtis Gabriel, and I'm gonna throw in a guy that I just saw now, which I find totally ridiculous. Why they even gave him a PTO? Gusev. Like they have enough guys dancing around the perimeter to sign this guy, right? Are we like what are we doing here, right? So the bottom six,
oh.
Peter.
Do we have enough? I don't even know what the puzzle is going to look like. So, I mean, as you know, I'm constantly reading the Leafs. I'm reading these players, and I think Dubas went in and threw a whole bunch of players in there, and that's why he probably brought a Gusev because maybe he wanted to come here and there's nothing to lose, right? It's a PTO. Hope to God, I don't think he's going to make it, but whatever. I mean, we'll see. It's definitely a big question mark. Mikheyev looked great tonight. I was watching Mikheyev. I think Ricci is going to be a top 6 guy. I don't think he's going down to the bottom 6. But they got pieces there. The interesting guy there is Cash or Kaz or whatever his name, Kaz. He's a proven goal scorer. Like he's got a game. He's just had a shitload of injuries and hasn't played a lot. But when he's played, he's productive. He's almost a goal a game guy. So he's an interesting player. Bunting, again, don't know much about him. He looks speedy. We saw him the first game. So there's a bunch of pieces. We'll see how it all fits. I think there's enough there. They just got to hit on some of them, right? So if they can hit on some of these guys and they can perform, then I think they'll be fine.
For sure. We got P. Diddy is in the house. P. Diddy the gambler. Mrazek is shit, and Dubas will go down as being too stubborn to move on. The big guys up front, it's all his doing, and he's the smartest and has the smartest in the room syndrome. He's really positive tonight. He did as well, and we go on to soft like melted butter. All right. So we know what P. Diddy thinks in the house tonight about the Toronto Maple Leafs. The bottom 6. So I definitely like Nick Ritchie. I think he brings some sandpaper to the game. He's good in front of the net. He'll throw you the odd goal. I like that. Apple. Cachet, the guy is a good hockey player. The problem with him is, Peter, if there's a window near you, look outside it. Because he is like glass. He is hurt all the time. So for me, that's something that we got to look out for because the guy's a goal scorer, like you said, Peter. He's a good player. Question marks, Mikheyev, okay? He wanted out of Toronto. So he wants bigger minutes. Up, your thoughts on the bottom 6. Are they deep? And then we forgot to talk about Simmons and Spezza, right? Now, I know my men's hockey team is looking for 2 extra players because I'm not playing. A couple other guys are not playing. The invitation is out for Simmons and Spezza if they do want to play Sports Village Thursday nights. It's about 6:25 registration.
Masters Division.
Masters Division. So, what are your thoughts on the bottom 6 here?
Look, these guys they're all $1.5 million, $1.75 million contracts for a reason. They're all fringe players. They just, we all know they've invested too much in the top guys to have any guys in the bottom 6. Like, guys, I'm going to ask you this: that Stanley Cup run that we saw Tampa go on, that Coleman, Gord, and Goodrow line. Do you see anybody in the Leafs bottom 6 that can play like one of those guys? And that was the 4th line for Tampa. Mm-hmm. I think they're all great 4th line players. The problem is they got about 9 of them that are 4th line players in that list. And you're right. Cash is not going to last.
He's hard.
Cash is not going to last the year. If they play Montreal as many times as they're going to play, those games alone, he's done.
He's done. Oh, man.
I just think, guys, this is my take on this, is that if you're building a team and again, I feel bad for Leaf fans because I have so many buddies that are Leaf fans. But for me is that this team is so heavy and uploaded with salary on these 4 guys that we talked about, is that basically, Peter, you said in the beginning of the show that their hands are tied. His hands are tied to make this team better. And you know what? We've seen it the last 2 years. The skill over will, the will over skill, it's not happening here. And if I'm a GM, I'm copycatting what Tampa's done the last 2 years. I really am. And I'm looking at, okay, you know what? I got to trade one of these guys, free up space, or 2 of these guys to look at what I have to bring into Toronto to get them to become a cup contender. Guys like Matthews and Marner's, they don't come around. Matthews is not going to be – he won't be here forever. I really doubt that, right? So, Pete, you're a Leaf fan, man. Like, I know you want to be positive, buddy, but
I'm trying.
but at the end of the day, man, like, again, like Paul brings up a really good point here.
I know, Paul. He's not a Leaf fan. Is he a Leaf fan? He can't be a Leaf fan.
He's a Leaf
fan.
Oh, man. He is. He says, look what he says here. He says, use history as your guide. Look at previous cup winners of D Corps and see how these guys compare. So, again, this is what I'm saying. Like this is the NHL is a very copycat league. You see it.
Yeah.
Cup winners, other teams. Pittsburgh won back-to-back. Everybody started getting fast. Washington knocked them off. They became heavy. St. Louis won. They became heavy. You know, you're seeing Tampa play a heavy and fast game. Toronto, to me, is right now they're all talent still.
Mm-hmm.
So, final score of the Leafs Habs 5-2. That was a barn burner, but like. Again, are they deep enough?
Can I go on my rant again that I did before?
Go ahead.
Guys, I am not a Leaf fan, and I'll be the first one to admit it, and Nick knows, because in the dressing room of our hockey games, I cut them up like crazy. I'm going to talk real right now. The Leafs, in the last 2 or 3 years, and I've said this before, Nick will attest to it, the Leafs would have won a cup by now when they had the best general manager in hockey in the building, and they let him go because he did not want to sign John Tavares and kept Dubas. And that Tavares signing to me was the end all. That ruined this team. He did not want to sign Tavares to that money. And then where does Lou go? He goes straight to the island, and look at them since he's gone there and Tavares has come here.
Peter?
He brought in a coach. They got Barry Trotz there.
Yeah.
That played proper hockey. What's his name? Keefe wouldn't have been here if it was Lamoriello's call. He would have got himself a proper coach to teach proper hockey. He had the whole structure started with this organization. And Shanahan went and said, no, you know what? We can't have this in Toronto. We can't have good things. You're out.
Wow.
Yeah, well, so I'm a diehard, so
I feel for you guys, Peter.
I tend to be loyal and optimistic. People call me crazy, but it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, I say it as well. I say, listen, if Tavares came in, he was making $9 million. Marner was at $9 million. Nylander at $6 million. Matthews at $10 million. Holy smokes, what a different team we would have.
Well, and that's the other thing. Sorry to cut you off, Peter.
No worries.
But even as well, when he got asked at the beginning of his tenure, can you keep the big three together, meaning Marner, Matthews, and Nylander, he came right on public, said we can and we will. Well, you just put your foot in your mouth. Because no matter what they ask for, you had to basically kind of give them, because you basically told your entire fan base that, yeah, these three are going to be around forever.
Yeah. Here's what I do think, though. I think kind of when we're talking bottom six and all that, I think Keefe's going to be challenged, because he's going to have to get the most of these guys. And I agree with you. We're not there. There's holes. We're not big enough, and we'll see where this is all going to end up. I think Dubas, brought in a whole bunch of different players, and like I said, he hopes he hits a couple of jackpots with some of these guys. And if he does, things could be different. But I do believe Keefe's going to be, put to the challenge this year, because he's going to have to get the most of every single player, especially in their bottom six. He's going to have to find combinations. He's going to have to make sure that they're playing a system that works for the talent that he has, because they're probably their bottom six you're not going to see a ton of scoring from. And he's going to rely on the top six to do all the scoring. So that's basically how like you said, he's got two fourth lines in the bottom six, probably more or less. And usually those guys don't score a lot, and hopefully they don't get scored on a lot. And I think that's going to be their strategy.
So I want to get something, Peter. You said hope, right? So a long time ago, when I the first time I coached, back in the day, right? I was given a team. I think it was like 19 years old, and I was coaching a Bantam team, and the person that was running the organization at the time, I said, you know what? I hope a couple guys pan out for me. And this guy, you know what he said to me? Hope is not a strategy. And I never forget that, because you know what? If you hope, you're already done. So Dubas, his hoping is it's a tough go. So you guys made an easy segue for me for going into this one here, number 4. So number 4, we got a couple comments here. Just want to see here. So we got Tipu's watching top 10 coaches gone wild on TSN. Fedoric lost it. That's pretty. I think he started throwing the sticks off the bench there. I think that was the one, Teeps there. So the segue going into. Sorry guys, let me just get that off here. All right, that segue there. So, is the coach on the hot seat, or back in the 80s, the hot stove lounge? Is he on the hot seat? Will he be here if there is another debacle? And I'm going to put this out there right now. It's going to be hard to make the playoffs this year. It's going to be very hard for multiple teams, because there are teams that are deep that have gotten better in the East. Even my Penguins, my beloved Penguins, they reek now.
No kidding.
Probably not going to make the playoffs. I'll tell you that right now. Well, when you got Hextall coming in from the Flyers, that hasn't, Flyers haven't won a cup since 1975, and he brings that bullshit to our team. But anyways, that being said, is the coach on the hot seat?
Yeah, I think if they miss the playoffs, something's going to give. Who knows? It could be the coach, could be the GM. So I think it's going to go back on Keefe. If he doesn't get past, if he doesn't get past the first round, then he's going to be on the hot seat. He's an easy scapegoat. If there's not a progression with this group, he will be on the hot seat. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he probably wouldn't be on the hot seat if he's coaching in Phoenix. But I think he's in the hot seat because he's coaching in Toronto. So, yes, right. He's on the hot seat.
Yeah. So, when you look at his staff, you got Paul McLean, you got Manny Malhotra, you got new assistant coach. I believe his name is Dean Shinethworth. I think it's that.
Something like that. Something like that.
Something like that. I just realized he's part of the bench staff now. But the interesting thing is they took the power play away from Manny Malhotra. So question for you is, I like the addition of Malhotra last year because, again, he's one of the better penalty killers when he played in the NHL. Good face-off man. Why would you have a guy, I'm just asking this, that is a good PK face-off specialist running the bloody power play? I don't get it. Peter.
I swear to God, I was discussing this with somebody 2 days ago.
Yeah.
You can look it up after the show, all the viewers.
Yeah. Manny
Malhotra had like 30-something power play points in his career.
Mm-hmm.
So how he was running the power play was beyond me. There was a lot of people that were saying that these last couple of weeks before they took it away from him.
Yeah.
You had no idea. The Leafs power play looked horrible last year. And for the talent they throw on there, brutal.
Right. So I'm going to throw –
go ahead, Nick.
Before we go to you, Peter, about the power play. So I'm gonna throw a name out to you, Peter. He's sitting at home right now. He's probably got sauce all over his face. His shirt's all dirty.
Oh, I know who you're
Okay,
talking.
we know who we're talking about. Bruce Boudreau. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Why the hell is he not behind the bench for the Toronto Maple Leafs as assistant coach? The guy is a decent coach. All his teams can score goals. That's fine. But I guarantee that power play. Listen, that power play was lights out in the regular season. Going into the playoffs, they started to struggle. But why isn't he with the Leafs organization? He loves the Leafs. He was a Leaf. He was a Toronto Marley. He's sitting at home. The guy has proven that he's a good coach. He hasn't won a lot in the playoffs, but that being said, like Peter, like things don't make sense.
That's a great question, and and again, I think Dubas and Shanny. The one thing is the master plan or the Shanna plan, whatever you want to call it. I think if you don't fit in, you're out. And I love Apple's. Talking about Lou earlier on, I think Lou kind of maybe they didn't want to let him go, maybe they did, but obviously they didn't fit into the Shanna plan. And I think at the end of the day, it always starts from the top. So maybe Shanahan doesn't feel that Bruce is a fit. Maybe Keefe didn't think that they would be able to work together, or maybe Keefe thought, gee, if I bring this guy in, then I got somebody kind of looking over my shoulder that wants this job. So I'm sure there's all kinds of things there, and only they know. But you're right. Something doesn't smell right when you have a guy like that that's sitting at home that loves the Leafs, who I think would have been a great addition. I was shocked that he didn't get added to this coaching staff. And the only thing I can think of is, Keefe was either didn't mesh well with him, or maybe they were worried that this guy would come in and want to take over.
Well, let me tell you something here. Okay. So this is my thought process. And again, I'm going to throw it out to you guys. So I'm not a Leaf fan, but I want to see the Leafs do well for one reason only. It's great for the city. After through this pandemic, bars, they do well, go 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds. It would be fantastic. All my friends are diehard Leaf fans. I want to see them be happy at least once in their life. Now, they're not going to win. Maybe they're not going to win a cup, but at least get by the first round. But I'm going to throw this out to you. Sheldon Keefe, okay? Right? Bruce Boudreau. Check out this bench, guys. Check out this bench. Bruce Boudreau, Rick Tocchet. You have a guy that, again, lit up the league with the Pittsburgh Penguins as an assistant coach, and he was one of the reasons why they won the Stanley Cup back-to-back. He is now an analyst on TNT and ESPN. Bruce Boudreau is sitting at home. Again, to me, we were talking about one of the richest clubs in the NHL. Why not have the best bench staff as well? I'm not understanding this.
For me, Boudreau and Tocchet are strong characters. If they don't like something, I think they will say it. And I don't think that fits the plan, because that's the same thing with Lou Lamoriello. I told you, he didn't want to sign Tavares. Shanahan got him out of here because you got to go with whatever Shanny says. Which, going back to your original question about the coach, to me, Keefe is not a coach for this team. He's on the hot seat. I don't think he's going to last a year. Dubas is going to make him the scapegoat. You're right, Peter. Dubas is going to make him a quick scapegoat because Dubas is next. And the Leafs have all the options. Who the hell doesn't want to coach a Toronto Maple Leafs?
Exactly.
He's not going to last. Yeah, I agree with teams. He's probably not going to last 20 games.
Yeah.
If they're 500 after 20 games, he's done.
So do they not bring those two guys in? And Nick brought up a great point and say, hey, sit at home and we'll see where we go and be ready. Yeah. Who knows?
Listen, I know that Sheldon came in 2 years ago and he, he went into the bubble and they played the Columbus and, we know what happened there. And then with Montreal, maybe I think he's a pretty good coach. He won the Calder Cup with the Toronto Marlies. Maybe this was not his first. I would have brought Sheldon in as an assistant coach, right? And made him, be under a guy that's a senior or seniority guy that has years, get him to learn and then culture him, atmosphere, all that stuff, learning the ropes. And then maybe, things don't work out, then you give it to him. But he got the keys to the Ferrari, okay, coming from a Hyundai. And you know what? That's a dangerous game for me, man.
Doesn't know how to drive standard.
There you go.
Well, he's been out coached in 2 playoff series.
There you go. So this is what I'm telling you, right? Right. And that so-called fun atmosphere that, he had when he first took over, he was having music on the ice, having fun, this and that. Listen to me. Big lose there. Like, did you see Nylander, Pete? Have you seen Nylander this year in training camp?
He's flying.
Yeah, but he's got the stash.
Oh,
He
yeah.
looks like another idiot to add on to this team.
Yeah,
When are these guys going to come and be serious? It's
Yeah.
time. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, to me, it's just a country club where these guys have to listen, put their nuts between their legs and say, you know what, guys? What happened to us last year is embarrassing. We need to come and we need to be serious. Austin, shave that mustache. Nylander, shave that mustache. Come here, clean cut, be ready to play, and show the fans that you're ready. Because this nonsense of all this fiasco with these hairstyles and these mustaches, Peter.
So Shanahan, to me, doesn't come across a guy that likes that stuff. To me, Shanahan's a hard-nosed guy. He likes guys that come in and are ready to work, that are serious. So I don't know. I agree with you, Nick. I don't know where it's coming from. Because to me, Shanahan, is more kind of along the lines of a Lou
That's what I thought. Yeah.
has rules and is a bit stricter and is about like, let's get serious. This is business. But I haven't seen it. I don't see it. And that's the part that's a bit mind-boggling because I thought there would be some stricter rules and kind of get away from that whole fun stuff and, let's all have fun here and have a party. So
right. It'll be interesting. The Amazon show for the Leafs, I believe it's October 1st. There's been some clips. They just released a picture today from the dressing room. It is on our Instagram page at the Hockey Lounge of Matthews and Marner. After the game in the dressing room, you had Marner with his towel over his face and Matthews looking definitely defeated there. So very, very interesting. Looking at the next question for you guys and the final question of the night. And I sort of put two things together here because I had to put them in together here. So who's Gonski after this year, core or management? And when I say management, I'm putting in Shanahan as well, the president, the GM, or does the core get decimated?
Sounds like your son's decimating the wall with those pucks.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening here. What's going on, Pete? You got some cleaning up over
that's
there?
probably Ethan. That Mort.
pucks?
It sounds like
pucks?
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That guy is a Mort. You know what? I think, man, I thought about this long and hard because I think something's going to give. I'll be shocked that if we go through another season where there's not progress, I don't even know getting to the second round's progress, to be honest with you. I think anything but a Final Four after this year is you have to revisit because I don't even think winning a playoff round is anything. There's too much money. We've been down this road. Progress to me has to be a Final Four at the very minimal. So who goes?
Final Four, right?
Final Four. To me, you know what? Yeah, you get through a first round. Boo-hoo. We should have did that 2 years ago. So to me, it's not much progress. I want to see a team that's ready to compete for the Stanley Cup. And to me, that next step is to be in the Final Four. Be one of the 4 teams battling for the Cup. That's where they should be with this group. So who goes? My gut tells me, based on my gut, tells me it's the core. I just think the MLSE loves Shanahan. They're giving him the opportunity, and I think if they come up to give the ownership a plan, saying, okay, you know what, we've tried with the core, we're going to move a core to make the team stronger overall. I think they will give him another chance. So that's why I'm going to say the core.
Okay, so you're going to say the core. So let's go back to you're saying Final Four. So I had these written down. So you're saying Final Four. Final Four is where they have to be this year to be somewhat okay. First round, no. Second round, no. They have to get by those 2 rounds, correct?
That's my feeling. That's what I feel.
All right. So Up.
I think the management's done at the end of the year. I don't see them breaking up the core because Dubas has been reluctant to do it up until now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they said they were going to ride with them. I don't think they get rid of anybody. I think the management goes first, and then in my opinion, whoever comes in, then one of the core pieces is going to go. That's what I think. But I think the management's going to go first because I haven't seen anything from Dubas or Shanahan to think that they're going to waver from this plan that they have. It doesn't look like he's willing to sacrifice any of the stuff he's already done.
Right. All right. So what would be a successful season for the Leafs for nothing really to go down here?
Oh, I agree with Peter.
Final four?
They're going to have to go to the Final Four. That's going to be a successful season for them this year, yeah.
All right.
They're running out of time with this core.
Yeah. I agree here too. I think, but it's hard for me to say that I think success will be the Final Four here. I really think, I don't know. I think basically maybe they get a free pass if they get by the first round. I really do. I think, as crazy as that sounds, guys, I think they get by the first round. I think they come back, or maybe one of the core is traded to upgrade the team. But I think Leafs Nation and just Leafs overall, they want to get by that first round.
I think maybe getting by the first round, and I kind of agree with Apple where they, you're right. The management said they're not going to make any change, and I think that's where they'd have to go to ownership. They'd be at a point where they'd have to go to ownership with a plan, because I don't think the ownership would keep them if they said we're going to keep the core. So I think that's why they would be up against the wall if they wanted to stay to move the core. Having said that, I think the management saved their job if they get past the first round, but I don't think the core saves the core stays together if they don't get to that Final Four.
All right. So those were the 5 burning questions. A lot of questions have to be answered here the next little while here. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens here with the Toronto Maple Leafs, who's on the hot seat, who's not. Does the core still be here at the end of the season? Is Dubas still around? What does Shanahan do? Does he get another free pass, Peter? Because, again, he's been here for a little while. He brought Babs in. That didn't work out. This is going on. So a lot of different things here. Some news and notes here. Some rumors with, Brady Tkachuk out of Ottawa. Still not locked up here. Read some news and notes today that St. Louis is looking at him. Your thoughts, guys? Because I think Ottawa is on the upwards here with what they have, what they've done. Do you see him moving?
If the rumor's true, if I was Ottawa, I'd do it. I'm hearing Parayko going back the other way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty solid defenseman there. They've got some young forwards in Ottawa that they can, absorb a little bit, losing one of their forwards if they're going to get a stud D like that to go with Shabbat.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a good move for Ottawa.
Well, I think oh, man. So, I mean, my gut is as an organization, they're going to look dumb if they do this.
Yeah.
It'll just paint the picture where everyone already says Malik's an idiot, and he's just going to keep proving himself that he is. You can't move him. You cannot move Brady Tkachuk. You're just starting to get some fan base believing in this team, and now you're going to move a piece like that, regardless of what you get back. Who cares? This is about building within, and if they do that, I think they're going to go in the wrong direction. It will not be good for a fan base to see a guy like that get moved.
I think they're looking at what's happening here in Toronto, and they don't want to end up with $10 million players down the road, because I think Kachuk's going to ask for the world. Stützle is going to be a hell of a player. He's going to be up there. You got Shabbat. I just think they're trying to watch what they're doing too. You got to remember, they're not exactly filling the building every night unless they're competitive like Toronto is as well. So they got to kind of watch it a little bit, what they're spending.
And that's up to the GM and the owner's job to build that, to building and, create that culture that, hey, you know what, we're at some point, everyone is going to have to give if you guys want to do this together. And that's the owner selling it. Can Melnyk do that? Who knows? I don't know if he's got the personality to do it. That's the problem.
For my thing with the Senators, guys, is that I really like the upside. I like what they're creating, the culture, the youth. Build that team, keep the guys together. Goaltending will be an issue. They need to solidify that. Once they do, watch out. I think you'll see them make some noise in the next couple of years. So I would keep Tkachuk here. I'd forget trading him to the Blues. He seems like he's going to be a leader in that locker room and whatnot. Eichel issues. They stripped away the C on him. Again, it's all this nonsense with the physicals and whatnot. Do you guys see him moving? We've talked about him many times. Do you guys see him moving before the season starts, or do you see this is more of a couple months in?
It's going to be a couple. I think last show, and I believe that it's going to be a couple months in. I think Buffalo really they're not counting on him, and they're going to wait. Buffalo is going to wait till they get what they want. And I think they will be in a better position when the season starts and, teams start to falter and they get desperate and Buffalo will have the phone there waiting for the call to come in and say, okay, now do you want him? And I think teams will be desperate and they're going to get, if not exactly what they want, but they're going to come pretty darn close to it.
Why do I feel like I'm on the opposite of everything tonight?
I love that.
I think the move that the Sabres just made by stripping of the captaincy, I think they've just brought his value down. They've basically said, you're not our guy anymore. You're done. So I think they brought it down. The fact that he still hasn't had the surgery, so who knows how long he's going to be out after that.
Yeah.
How he's going to react to it. I think it would have been better for Buffalo to let him go have his goddamn surgery, get on the ice, go through training camp, maybe a quarter of a season, show everybody that you can play a little bit of hockey and take a hit.
Yeah.
And then you might be able to get something for him. I think right now he's like at rock bottom. Why would you strip the captaincy away from him now?
You know what? It just goes on and on and on with this Sabres organization. It's pretty embarrassing. Again, you have a rookie GM doing stupid nonsense like that. They brought in Granato. It's just it's just a gong show over there. It's crazy, man. And Teeps just says this. He goes, whatever Ivanka Osmak says is true. So, Ivanka, you got one up on us here.
What's going to save the Sabres is, we've all been following hockey for a long time, and the one common denominator with the NHL is there's dumb GMs. So it just takes one dumb GM, Apple, and I'm guaranteeing you there's going to be one. Yeah. And that's why I think the Sabres are going to get what they want.
It's like it makes you wonder, these owners that have all this money invested, and they got one idiot that could possibly tear it down and wreck it for 10 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
It's mind-blowing. Yeah. Mind-blowing. All right, last one I got for you guys tonight before we wrap it up here. Again, hit that subscribe button below if you want to become a Hockey Lounge member and take a slap shot at the like button. Tyler Bertuzzi. A little dicey talk here.
I thought he was coming to the Leafs.
Non-vaxxed. He's going to miss about 30 to 35 games coming to Canada. If you were the GM, what are your thoughts on that?
So he's not getting vaxxed? Is that
no?
Is that I read a little bit. I just wasn't sure. I know he was not vaxxed, but I wasn't sure.
He's not getting vaxxed.
He's not getting vaxxed.
No.
It's a bad situation. Because even
I like how you said that. It's a bad situation.
Because even with football, if Cam Newton was still playing with New England, their protocols were he couldn't be anywhere near the team. So if he's not,
I wouldn't want him near a team anyways.
No, that's what I'm saying. As a GM, you have to do something about it. He can't be around that team. You got to figure out where you're going to trade him. You got to do something with him.
Well, the funny part is, I read just before we came on here. So the NHL announced that if you're not vaxxed, you're not allowed to come into Canada. And shortly after, the NBA announces that unvaxxed players will be able to come to Toronto. Yeah. So what the effing is that?
Oh my God!
Where is the consistency there?
And Bettman should know what the NBA is going to say because he's right. He's in their pants because he was in their pants before. It's crazy. It's crazy out there. But interesting thing, Zach Anton Reese from the Penguins, he got COVID. He just got announced today that it is COVID-19. So I'm not sure what the protocol is now because he's been with training camp. He's been around the guys. So we'll see where that goes. But I think he's the first one at camps around the league to get the virus. So we'll see where that goes. But it's a sticky situation for GMs that are dealing with teams that have one or two guys that are not vaxxed. Like if he's a key guy like Tyler Perduzzi, like you're missing him for 30, 35 games. That's tough.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point here, maybe before the season starts, there's a different decision that's going to be made here because I think Detroit can't afford to have a player like him. I mean, I don't think any organization in the NHL with the rules want to have any player that has any type of role with the team to be unvaxxed because I just don't think that's an environment you want. So it'll be interesting to see how Detroit handles this.
For sure. All right, boys. 5 burning questions of the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Leafs went down in fire tonight, 5-2 to the Montreal Canadiens. They won the home opener on Saturday 4-1. Should be interesting to see what the Leafs do. Are we going back to the 80s? Are the paper bags coming out this year? We will see. Or will there be a Stanley Cup run? We'll see and hope that the blue and white turn up this year. If you want to become a Hockey Lounge member, hit that subscribe button below. Take a slap shot at the like button if you like the show. We will be back in a few days with our predictions. We're going to have a Western Conference show and an Eastern Conference show. We'll have multiple guests. We'll have fun with it. We're trying to get the O'Connor back, but he was in Niagara Falls tonight. Not sure what he's doing there. Maybe he's making the falls blue and white with some lights there. The O'Connor, Frank the O-Dog. Guys, thank you for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right. For all the viewers, thank you for watching the Hockey Lounge. Stay safe. We will see you next time.